It's just part of my job. That's my job.
The buzz I get is doing what we do. I can't imagine a world where I'd be happy if I wasn't doing it.
This week on High Performance, Michael Ball and Alfie Boe.
Standing on stage and working and entertaining is what I was born to do.
Jesus, if I saw 600 people going for that, I'd feel helpless.
That's
I'd
the
feel
job,
hopeless.
though. But that's the job. This is what you do. You do your best.
If you don't enjoy it while you're doing it, you'll never enjoy it.
We sell out the O2. We do a gig. You're not on your own standing there going, no one knows how I feel. You've got someone by your side having exactly the same vibe. For something like this, it has to be 50-50.
It's not 50-50, it's 100% each. 110%. You throw it all in.
The greatest answer to everything is this too shall pass. Success is not forever. Neither's failure. Do smell the roses. Enjoy sharing your own success. Realize that anything you've achieved, you've not done it on your own. You've done it because of a myriad of other people. You're all bastards and I never want to see you again. I hate him.
Listen, I want to say a massive thank you to all of our new subscribers, but you know, most people that watch this content on YouTube don't subscribe. I want to change that. The more subscribers, then the more amazing we can make High Performance. And I've had a lovely message actually from Rob who says, I only recently discovered the High Performance channel and I watched the full Eddie Howe and Tyson Fury interviews, both some of the best content I've seen in the last 5 years on YouTube. Listen, if you agree and you want to keep this amazing stuff coming for free, then hit subscribe right now. Thank you so much. Well, thank you both very much for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Pleasure.
So let's start with you, Alfie.
Yeah.
What do you believe to be high performance?
Being good at your craft, excelling at your craft. I suppose in the work aspect, but I suppose in life in general, just being happy, I think is something that I always try and achieve to make myself be able to perform at my best. Is when you're happy, when you're on a good, when you're mentally in a good place, you know, being able to handle everything that comes across your path, and yeah, that makes me feel like I can put my best work out there, really.
Michael?
High performance, it's what Alf says. I think there's also this thing of never being complacent, never being satisfied with what you've done, always thinking there's more that you can do, taking comfort and enjoyment from what you are doing and thinking, yeah, I'm doing this as well as I can, but maybe there is something else I can do. There's further I can go with it.
See, I think this is interesting because if there's one recurring theme from over 160 of these conversations, right, it's that people who are high performance are never actually satisfied. And a lot of people live their lives thinking, I'll be happy when I reach a moment or a milestone or buy a certain house or have a certain salary. And it's only when you talk to someone like Johnny Wilkinson, who won the Rugby World Cup for his country and was happy for 30 seconds after 20 years work, you realise that actually a lot of the time, the climb is not worth the view.
No.
And is that the same for the two of you? Like, how much do you allow yourself to truly enjoy what you're doing and where you are, or is it all about the next performance, the next achievement?
Gosh, I mean, I think all of us in this business, you're always wondering where the next job is coming from. You know, you finish a contract or finish something that you've started, and you think, what am I going to do next? Is the phone going to ring? Is there something there? I think I've got better at having those smell the roses moments, but they don't last.
It's because he's loaded.
It helps.
Yeah.
But no, it does. Having a little bit of financial security, of course, helps. But no, it doesn't. That's absolute rubbish. It's not about that. It's about you constantly want to find new challenges. You constantly.
I love how you contradict yourself. So
I know, but I
much.
do. I don't have any answers. I just know that I need to keep doing what we're doing.
A friend of mine has just finished a major TV show and was invited to the wrap party, and she didn't want to go because it was like, you know, she's just focusing on the next thing. And it's like, you know, no, you've got to go and celebrate your achievement. You've got to go and celebrate your goal. It's important that you recognise what you've done to entertain, and the high standard that you've done it. But no, she was like, no, I just want to leave. I just want to show my face, leave, and then go on to the next job. And it's just interesting that we don't give ourselves that time to really. I suppose I am.
Yeah,
I don't go to after show parties.
No,
you know, I don't go for meals. I don't.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think because I do have such a strong work ethic that it's not about celebrating for me. I haven't been on holiday for 6 years. I haven't had a holiday, been away to relax or chill. And so I don't celebrate myself. I just concentrate on what I want, the overall goal, you know, getting through my life and then looking back. Well, I won't be able to when I've gone through my life, but just.
Well, that's the point then, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't carry on like this thinking there's the moment where you stop and reflect.
No.
You will never have that moment. It is quite simple.
Yeah.
If you don't enjoy it while you're doing it, you'll never enjoy it.
But are there people?
True, but
Are there people that do though, who go, do you know what? Yeah, done it. Happy, content.
You might think differently, Damian. I believe that whether we're talking to an international sports star, a multi-billion pound valuation entrepreneur, artists like the two of you, they all join us and say, I didn't take the time to enjoy it. And my response every time is, that's because if you took the time to enjoy it, you wouldn't have done what you've done and you might not be sitting here in front of us now.
Yeah.
But there is also this argument that then, what's the point?
Exactly. But then people do say to you, oh, that's such a shame that you didn't recognise your own, and then you feel guilty about that. And you
but
think,
is it a shame for you though? Do you need it?
I don't need it. I don't need to sort of look at what I've done, all the achievements, and think, yeah, good for you, Alfie. You know, it's like, I'd think, no, it's just part of my job. That's my job. It's like going and working in a factory and putting my coat on at night and getting out of my overalls and going home and having my tea, getting up in the morning, going back into work. That's how I see it, because it's my work ethic. I don't know, that's how I was brought up. My dad did the same, jumped on his bicycle, cycled to work 6 miles, did his job, came back home and got changed and had his tea. And he didn't celebrate himself, you know.
See, I love what I do. So,
I'm not saying I don't love what I do.
Yeah,
I love what I do. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, I would, if I wasn't doing what I do, I'd be really miserable. And so my relaxation, the buzz I get is doing what we do, and I can't imagine a world where I'd be happy if I wasn't doing it.
But that is my world. That is standing on stage and working and entertaining and giving a service and a product to an audience, and is what I was born to do. You know, like working in the car factory, when I did that, my job was to spray the car, polish the car, give it to the customer. And that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to look good, I'm trying to polish up my act, and I'm trying to give it to the customer. It's exactly the same thing. But I love it. I love seeing that car drive away. And I love walking off stage and hearing the crowd roaring. It feels like, yeah, okay, I've achieved it, but that's what I'm meant to do. It's my job.
It's very interesting.
You know,
I'm interested in terms of like your journeys in show business, because there's that formula when you describe people's behaviour, and it's a mixture of both personality and the environment that they've been brought up in. And I see that the traits that have got you so far and for so long in your industry is about never being complacent, looking for the next job, never resting on your laurels and all of that. But there's also something that's innate within you about this idea of you've grown up in Fleetwood, there was one of 9, or for you going to boarding school when you went there. How much of this unwillingness to compromise, to rest on your laurels, to stop and smell the roses is part of who you are, but how much of it is just a result of being in the industry where you've seen the corpses of people's careers littered that did?
For me, I think I'm just constantly looking for, is approbation the right word? So it sounds like a good word. I want people to, I'm looking for approval all the time. So yeah, it is a word. I'm constantly looking for approval.
Where does that come from? Do you think?
I think maybe from being a second son. So you always are trying to strive to be noticed.
Yeah.
I think my dad is like it as well. He was always wanting to be the giver and the one that everyone liked and no one had a bad word to say. So I'm always looking for that and looking for approval, and you never get it fully. Yeah, I think that's been my driving force, for people to say, "Oh my gosh, he's good. He does something special."
So if we jump into your story, then the bit that stood out for me was when you went to boarding school, and you didn't feel like you fitted in.
100%.
You were an outsider,
Yeah.
and as somebody that needed approval. How did that shape the subsequent decisions that you've made in your career?
I realised that I couldn't find a way at a very sporty school, great in rugby and cricket and swimming and everything I didn't do. So I had to then, and I didn't want to do and hated. So I had to find it in other directions. I had to find it in being funny, being the one who had all the cool ideas to do things, the one who'd be a little bit dodgy, in a nice way, and came up with the fun ideas. So that was the way I collected mates and collected my gang. And also performing, what performing there was at the school, I was forefront and coming up with ideas and finding ways of making people notice me and applaud.
So tell us about that then. So I get that at school, but then another bit of your story that stood out was when you first got your break in Pirates of Penzance, and I read about the 600 people that turned up at an audition.
That's right.
And my instinct was to go, Jesus, if I saw 600 people going for that, I'd feel helpless.
That's the
feel
job,
hopeless.
but that's the job.
But as somebody that needed approval, how did you stand out? How did you stand in that queue as number 599?
Gosh, that's an interesting thought. I've never thought. I just thought I was with a mate. We were, and we'd gone along to it, and I just thought, this is what you do. You do your best, and it was as the 600 got whittled down and you got recalled, and it finally got to the final two between me and another guy. That's the moment when this is real. You can only do what you do in order to get the approval. You just do your best.
But as you're stood in that queue and you're seeing all these other talented, good-looking, charismatic performers there, how do you sort of protect
you pretend it's not serious?
Go on, tell us about that.
Yeah, you pretend it doesn't matter. You know it does. Of course it does. It's the most important thing to you in the world. But outwardly, it's like, oh, it's a laugh, isn't it? We'll have a go at this. And if you don't get a job, you go, it doesn't matter. It was a really interesting thing. You're dying on the inside, but it's fine. You get the job and you have a moment of, oh my God, amazing. And how the hell am I going to pull this off? Because you feel a bit of a fraud for getting it in the first place over somebody else. That always happens. You think someone else could do this just as well, if not better than I can. So you just work really hard to convince people that you can do it.
I think there's a value in this, isn't there? Because I see people all the time who don't even take the risk to see if they're good enough. They would rather not take the risk and not get the rejection. Yeah. How do you deal with it? Because all people see is the successful stuff, because that's the stuff that we see. We see the albums and the social media and the TV shows and the performances. We don't see the hard stuff because that isn't publicly available.
You have to find any way possible to deal with it, whether it's examining your own ability, studying again, training, giving yourself the practice to master your craft, whatever it is, or even exercising or taking care of yourself, cooking a meal for yourself at night. You just sort of start living positively. Anything to help you get over a failure or something like that, whatever it is, just to sort of strengthen your own confidence. I find that hard personally to sort of say to myself that this doesn't matter, because you know, if I go for an audition or go for something that I really want to do, then I'll visualize myself doing it before I've even got it. And I'll have that vision in my head that I am going to get that. That's going to be something that I can manifest. And sometimes it works. I mean, you know, 9 out of 10 times it has worked for me. If I've gone for something, it's normally I've had that confidence to go out and do it. But if I haven't, I can't tell myself that it doesn't matter, because it really does, and I show it, and I then beat myself up about it, and that's something that I'm constantly battling with, you know, that I have to improve. I have to always be better at what I do. I don't want to sit back on my laurels and just think, oh, this life is plain sailing now. It's not, you know, because you never know what's around the corner, personally and professionally. So I do things like take care of myself. I go to the gym. I do go and make a point of like going to Tesco's and buying really nice food that I really want to cook, and go home and put on Family Guy and cook while watching a silly program, and just take my mind out of it and fill myself with energy and positivity and fun, and that's how I can get through the letdowns and the pitfalls in a way.
I mean, the contrast of your two approaches is fascinating, because I'm interested where it meets in the middle, from the playfulness that maybe you adopt of when you're going for that big performance, but you're pretending it's all irreverent almost, and you, Alfie, coming in with this idea that this is everything to me. What's the moment that you almost let go for you, where you can go and liberate yourself just to go and perform? And what's the moment for you when you switch on and you are that ultra-focused performer?
I don't know what the moment is. I just know I can do it. I know that I can go in and start my radio show. And, you know, no matter what has happened, I'm not going to let that impact how I'm going to talk to my listener on the show. That's not their concern. That's not their business. I have a professional job to do. And also it lifts me out of where I am. You know, and I love doing it. I love getting on the stage with Alf. So when an overture starts for a show, I just think, all of that can wait. This is what matters at the moment, and it lifts me, and it hopefully lifts them. And the big lesson I learned, I was just listening to Alf there. Big lesson I learned from being on the other side of the table at auditions and stuff is to understand that when you're auditioning people for things, you want them to be brilliant. When an audience pays their money to come for a ticket, they want a great show. They're coming in with a positivity. And so rather than think of it, for me, like a challenge, I've got to bloody do this, or we're going to do this together. We're all on the same side.
Great,
here.
that. Yeah.
And if I make a point when auditioning people for things of saying, this isn't about you. You've done brilliantly. It's what is required to serve the piece that we're going to be doing that you may not fit for, just as I wouldn't fit for it, or someone, you know, we're all good. We're all deserving, but something beyond your control is stopping you from getting this. It's not your fault.
Lovely. That idea of assuming positive intent and everything. Yeah. And what about yourself, Alfie? Like, how do you let that moment come where you can just relax and flow into
acceptance? I think, you know, I mean, for an audition situation, accepting maybe a failure, maybe, you know, is what I try to do, is just take it on board. I haven't auditioned for a long time, to be honest, but or if I've not got a concert or something has gone to someone else or whatever, I acceptance of that like Michael said, it wasn't meant to be, you know, it's still would eat me away, but it's not meant to be. But I know I'll find that positivity of getting through that feeling. But when it comes to letting go of the pressure of being on a high platform and a high standard of performance, which you always maintain, but when you can relax a little bit, is when the music starts. When music is everything to me. Music is what feeds my emotions, my soul, my everything, my performance, my life. The first thing I turn on is my Spotify, and I put that on and I play songs all day long. I hardly ever watch TV. Michael will tell you this. He's mad on his seasons, his Netflix and bot series and things like that. I don't do that. I don't watch television, so I put on music. And if I'm feeling sad or feeling low, I'll listen to low music. I'll listen to sad music, and then I'll engage with that emotion and get through it. You know, if I'm feeling energized and happy, I'll put on something vibrant and engage with that, and that'll get me through my day. And it's just emotions that I don't know. It's the way that I work is by instrumentation, by music, and it connects with my inner person.
I think what's interesting for both of us is no matter what's been happening off stage in our own lives,
you never take it on stage.
Never. And we come together, and the very fact that you've got a mate by your side who, you know, if I say to him, listen, this is not a good one for me, got your back, I'll take this, and vice versa. So that you know you've got someone on your side when things are low, but crucially, you're not on your own when things are great. So we sell out the O2, we do a gig, you're not on your own standing there going, no one knows how I feel. You've got someone by your side going, having exactly the same vibe. So having that person to share it with and to go, we just did that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great feeling.
It's interesting because people say to you after you've done a performance like at the O2 and you've had 20,000 people on their feet cheering your name and stuff, and they think, oh, you must be on such a buzz and such a high, and you must be going out and celebrating now and having a party and drinking the champagne and one thing and another. And it's not. I mean, I walk off stage and you walk into your room and you're on your own. And then you get in a car and you're on your own. And then the car drives you home and you close that front door and you're on your own. And you've just been around thousands of people that are just adoring what you do. And then you realize this is such a diverse life that we live, you know, and it is a tricky game to play, to assess, to sort of live through, you know. It's because that being alone can really eat you away sometimes.
There was that George Michael documentary, wasn't there, that came out this summer where, that I know it's obviously post his death, but he'd written it and he spoke very powerfully in it around that sense of isolation of when he did a big US tour, and like when it all finished, it was like just a crushing loneliness.
But that's the same for everyone. Whatever we're doing, we wake up. I mean, you have someone with you, but you wake up alone in your head and you go to sleep alone. Our lives are shared to a certain extent, but we're only us. We are on our own. We just have to be comfortable with that and deal with it.
Can you tell us how this came about then? Because one thing, I don't mean the sort of mechanics of how I called him and he, how you decided that you were the right partnership, because this is a fascinating thing to see the amount of energy that Michael, you bring, and the sort of you're up and you're chatting, and actually you are really like deep thinker and you really consider things a lot. And I can see how the whole yin and yang thing is working even in this conversation. I'm sure it is magical when you're on stage, whether that was part of it.
It was community service, really. That's about it.
It's me giving back. I felt so lucky.
Help the aged. You know what I mean?
Do you know what? It's grown, is the honest truth. We didn't know at the beginning what it would be like, what would happen. If it was, even on the level of, are our voices going to blend? Because they're different sounds. You know, are we going to want to record the same sort of stuff? Is it going to work on stage? Yeah. And it was a learning thing. We learned really quickly what worked, and recognize each other's strengths and how to play to them, and very quickly that Michael Ball and Alfie Boe are very separate things from Ball and Boe. This is us, you know, and it's always about us. It's not about the individual. It's about how does this work for the two of us, and let's play to each other's strengths.
Yeah,
and share it.
It's funny enough, I was asked a similar question out in the lobby here, and I was thinking, you know what, we are a team. We are for the want of a better word, a product in the sense, you know, and we are putting across to an audience that it's the duo Ball and Boe. But we are both, I think, individually have boxes to tick to make that duo work. So there is also a lot of separation. You know, I prepare my side of the job and Michael prepares his side of the job. And when we bring the two together, automatically it just seems to work. It's so even though we do work together on stage a lot and in the recording process, we develop that side. But out of that, individually, we are working on our own personal abilities and bringing each other's craft together to make it
what
one.
advice would you give our listeners about working in a team? You know, we love the phrase on this podcast, a candle doesn't lose its light by lighting another candle, and that's what you do for each other. What advice would you give to people listening to this about the power of teamwork and realizing that you can't do it on your own all the time in this world?
Well, none of us can do what we do on our own. But if for something like this, it has to be 50-50. It has to be each of us contributes as much as the other. We know where one's strength lies and the other, but it is.
I want to correct you. It's not 50-50. It's 100% each.
That's a lot. Thank you.
It's 100% each.
Yeah.
You know, it's. You don't say, well, Michael, you know, you give 50%, I'll give 50%, and that's the product. 110%.
Yeah.
You throw it all in, and it's mutual respect. I admire Michael as a performer. I admire his voice. I admire his history and what he's done, and his career has been incredible. You know, I have to sort of match that to an extent. You know, I have to sort of bring it to the table too. And he's given 100% throughout the whole of his career. And I want to give 100% throughout the whole of mine. So when we put the two together, it's a powerhouse.
I mean, there's a really interesting concept that you're describing here, that in rowing, they talk about swing. So when a boat goes fast and more powerful, it's basically everybody working with that synchronicity. Everyone's giving 100%, but the actual output of the boat weighs ends up measuring something like 110% of it, because that swing is that extra 10% of magic where it happens,
and that extra bit is indefinable. I know what I'm worth. Alfie knows what he's worth, but 1 and 1 makes more than 2. When you put us together, something different happens. It creates something different that neither of us could do individually.
But how do you protect that to make sure that because what you've got is special, but how do you go about maintaining it rather than just hoping it happens organically?
I think not getting complacent about it.
Yeah.
You know, just really stepping it up every single time you come back to the table. Like, we're taking a bit of time out now to work on our own individual things. And we'll get back together in 24, and you know, when we come back together, we'll hopefully have stepped it up from where we left off. You know, and we always want to just work harder and harder, and keep improving on what we're developing, what we're doing already.
So tell us about those meetings then, where you get together to talk about when you come together in 18 months' time. We're going to take it a level. Describe that our listeners could maybe take away and apply in their world.
Oh, well, they're really quick and easy now. I mean, this album, the Vegas album, the concept arrives. What about an album set in Vegas? And then it's going, and then as soon as we both go, yeah, That's a really cool idea. It's then the exciting moment of going, so what does that actually mean to both of us? What is the artistic drive for us? Who are we celebrating? What are the sounds we want to do? What do we want the audience to be hearing and sharing with us? And because of it's our 5th album, it's our 7th year, we just have a shorthand and a telepathy almost about it. So yeah, that's the right song. No, that's not the right song. That's the right feel. When we sit around a piano and routine the songs, it flows because we know what the key should be, who does the harmony, I mean, this has been the easiest and the best
it has
work that we've done.
It has. I think to the listener, what they could take from that, moving into that, applying it to their lives, is just positivity. I am a deep thinker, but I do sort of visualize a lot, and I see the potential of something, and I don't always get that excited as Michael does, because I like to really work hard at it and put the power behind it. Michael is very positive. He has that energy behind it, but we all have.
And pretty spontaneous.
We have it in different ways. We have that positivity in different ways. So if anybody can apply that to their life, it's just visualizing the success, having that positivity about it, having the confidence to do it.
And if it's shit, don't do it.
But that taps into a really interesting bit of research. I don't know if you're familiar that Google a few years ago did a study into like what makes great teams, and you've described yourself as a team, and they said there's almost no formula, but they found there was some common traits, and you've described 2 of them here. One of them is we both speak in equal measure, so everyone feels their voice is heard and seen. You've described that. But the second one was psychological safety. The idea that if there's an idea that's shit, you can say it's shit and you're not wounded by it. You don't come away and think, I feel rejected because you've said that. So
that was learned, wasn't it? That was learned.
So tell us about that.
Well, I'll give a funny example. I've been banging on to him to sing Reach by S Club 7 at the end of a gig forever. Now, this is not a serious example, and he's going, no, of course not. Finally, because it was a big birthday for me this year, he will record it. He did it with me. Cheered me up no end, ruined his gig. But early on, early on, you'd come with an idea for a song or for an approach to something, and I know if it was rejected, I go, well, I don't know what to do with that. I've never been told that this shouldn't be what we will be doing, and then, and almost with hindsight, you think that was the right decision. That was the right call by Alf. Another call I remember you saying when we were early on doing concerts, because I'm work in radio, I will always talk up through an intro of a song, so you can't hear, and then start singing. Alf wants the whole song silence to land. But I took this to a seriously long degree, and I would waffle and he'd sit there going, just shut up and sing. Christ's sake.
So how did you work this out then? And how did you get to a point where you can say poor idea, you can say not good, and you're both okay with it? Did you have to have the conversation?
No. I think it's just, again, just mutual respect.
Yeah.
It's just getting to know each other, and in a way not holding back. And if you do say something that might upset somebody, you just say sorry. It's a simple word. It's easy to say sorry. If you've and then we get over it and we move on, and we know to handle it differently next time. But that was the early days, and that was like a learning process. I think when you see the bigger picture, when you see what we have to achieve, there's no point in putting your ego on the line. You've got to sort of just get the job done and do it as a team to the best of your ability and enjoy it. Yeah. I'm not singing any more S Club 7, but I mean,
but Steps is only a phone call away.
Some great hits, to be fair. I know you're on a time limit. You've only got about 5 minutes before
God,
I know you have to fly. People will be listening to this or maybe
Yeah.
watching this as well, thinking, look at the energy Michael brings. Look at almost like a sort of excited puppy, happy to be here, happy to talk about everything. And I would love for you just to share some of the other elements of your journey, just because I think when people only see success, they assume success is for others.
Well, of course. I mean, I guess I'm sort of old school in that I don't feel the need or the desire to wear my heart, to share the miserable times if I'm going through them. But I have shared the times when I had a breakdown, when I walked out of Les Mis, when I was suffering panic attacks, when I nearly gave up the business, and came through that. And I wish I'd shared it at the time, but that was not my ethic. It was nothing is wrong, put up the front. And it still is like that to a certain extent. Right. I will share it with the people I'm close to and that I love. When I go home and I close the front door and I'm with the family, that's me. I don't feel the need to share it too much with in situations like this. But if there is a way that my experience can help, I'm very happy to share that. So having gone through the mental health issues I did early on, and my advice has always been to share, to open up when you need to, have somebody that you can talk to. And the greatest philosophy in the world, the greatest answer to everything is this too shall pass. Nothing is going to go on forever in the way it does. It'll change. What it seems like the most enormous, crucial, insurmountable problem will go, and something else, maybe worse, maybe better, who knows, will change, and you'll forget about that. Or you'll take the residue of that with you, but it's not forever. Success is not forever. Neither's failure. You know, you'll find ways to change your life around. I really believe that.
It's quite a nice mindset that it means you don't get too low when things are hard. You don't get too high when things are great.
Yeah.
Because there's something around the corner. Yeah.
Should
we explain to people at home who are listening to this podcast why you're now going to disappear?
Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I've got a puppy. I mean, a 4-month-old puppy takes precedence over,
of course,
over showbiz, surely.
I mean, can I jump in and ask one question, though,
sure.
that I've always been interested? I read Don Black's book this summer that speaks really generously of you. And then I'd read something else about Cameron McIntosh speaking so highly of you. And they're two guys that are titans within your world. And yet they've seen something in you that endears them to them. But there's something about coachability, that these are people that must be able to discern people that you want to invest time in and those that you don't.
Yeah, well,
and I'm interested in what makes you so coachable.
I mean, with them, I think with Cameron, it's interesting. I have a really good relationship, really good friendship, close friendship now with Cameron. He used to be my boss. He went out on a limb to help me when I was having my problems, and I paid him back. But I didn't work for Cameron since Phantom of the Opera, since 1988. I'd done things for him for free, but I'd never worked for him. And I think, but we'd always maintained a close relationship. And I think that what he liked is the fact that I'd gone off and done other things, that I'd gone out of the theatre, that did broadcasting and did records and concerts and the what I've done, and he kind of got I wasn't beholden to him. I think that was kind of important, that he wasn't the boss. I could treat him as an equal. He's a lot richer and a lot cleverer than I am, but I think he saw something in me that I was a sponge. I would learn quickly. I would work hard. I would be a great company member, I hope. And I was an asset, I suppose. I don't know. Blushing.
No, but my intent of asking the question is because I work in sport a lot, and especially those coaches that work with young kids, and the common message that those coaches will say to me is, not really interested in who's the fastest, the fittest, the most talented. It's the kids that are most coachable that light us up.
Yeah.
And that's what struck me when I read those accounts for you.
I learned to do what I do from the people like you that you mentioned, from lessons from them. And I think it's our job to pass those lessons on to the kids coming in now. So like we were talking about before, when you're auditioning people, to make them feel positive about it, when they're part of a company that they come into, how to behave. Because it's not just about what's happening on stage, it's what happens off stage. It's getting them to understand that getting the gig is not the important thing. It's how you conduct yourself doing the gig so that other people want to employ you again. All the people that I've worked with, all have come back and I've worked with again and again and again. I leave them thinking, yeah, that was a positive experience.
Brilliant. Yeah. Before we let you go, your final message for the people listening to this, your one golden rule for living a high performance life. What would you like to leave people with ringing in their ears from the life you've lived and the lessons that you've learned?
Do smell the roses, because it's easy to forget to, and enjoy sharing your own success. Realize that anything you've achieved, you've not done it on your own. You've done it because of a myriad of other people, positive and negative. Thank them. Brilliant. Always be grateful for what you've achieved.
Thank you very much.
Does that help?
We'll create a trailer out of this, and we'll put this bit in like you're storming out the studio or something.
Yeah.
Like they did with the
You're
Queen
all
that
bastards, and I never want to see you again. I hate him.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. I really that was very different.
Just a quick one to say thank you so much for watching this content on the High Performance channel. We would love it if you would subscribe. You know, most people that watch what we do don't subscribe. If you can subscribe, we can make this bigger, better, bolder than we've ever done before. So hit subscribe right now and help the High Performance podcast make a real difference to the world. See you soon.